partial date, you can see these partial titles, partial date and publishers, partial title and publishers, name as subject, and standard number. It isn't that the standard number couldn't work, it's just that all these other things got matched on first. So the next thing we're planning to do for Virtual International Authority File, as I said, we want to merge the records for display. Better documentation. The participants have been asking for this. More participants, and get to geographics. I should probably mention what the OCLC's role in this is. We're doing all the processing. So we collect the authority records and the BIB records either through FTP or OAI. And once a month we do the matching and bring up a new version of the file. Now, WorldCat identities. So this is something that, except for VIF, is what occupies most of my time. This is the splash screen for WorldCat identities. What we've done is for every name, every personal, corporate, imaginary person, any name the sort of names that are in the authority file, we've made a page for them. And this is the splash screen. It gives you some idea of these are the most common names by library holdings. Virtually everything we do in WorldCat identities is generated by, is ranked by holdings, so that what we display depends on what's in the most records and the most records that are widely held. So you can see a lot of composers there. It gives you an indication of how much music is in a library files. And not too many women. A few women. I've noticed that, especially the most common names are all dead men, I think, as well. That's what our library catalogs seem to be full of, is dead men. So, what's going on here? Oh, okay. Let me go back here. This is you can search directly into WorldCat identities to find the page, but more commonly, you're coming in through WorldCat. You found a record. You can jump from that WorldCat record into an identity. But we're also trying to get other people to use it. In particular, the Powerhouse Museum, just in the last 2 or 3 days, has added some links into WorldCat to their catalog. So if you go to the Powerhouse Museum and you look at this object within there, it's some documentation and designs for the Sydney Olympics in 2000. You'll notice that the one of the names associated with this object is Bob Carr, and so there's a little View on WorldCat link there. If you clicked on View on WorldCat, you go to Bob Carr's identities page in WorldCat. And to my sort of non-Aussie eyes, it looked it looked okay to me. Maybe a little bit thin in terms of demonstration, but it's nice to see that we can do this. But a fair number of library holdings on only nine bibliographic records. So, but here's a larger record, larger identities page. Here's for Thomas Keneally that I mentioned earlier. So here's his page, the first part of the page, where it shows how many different we see. We do Ferberization on these. We come up with 149 works. It's probably a little bit high, but the variations in cataloging tend to split these a little bit. In almost 50,000 library holdings. And so what we do is we look at all those records that have Thomas Keneally have this version of it, the person that we think is linked to this authority record, and you can see at the top. I don't know if you can see it. The LCCN is part. Well, no, you can't see it because of the way I've gotten into it. But there'd be an LCCN associated with this page, so there's a permanent identifier for the page. So, and we think that he wrote historical fiction, biographical fiction, war stories. I think that they look pretty good. And we also have him identified as an Australian, 20th century Australian author and 21st century Australian author, novelist Australian 20th century. Author, screenplay, producer, lyricist. There are a lot of people that you'll see role coming up as lyricist, and that somebody's taken their words and set them to music. So almost any, Shakespeare will come with lyricist. I mean, almost anybody be lyricist. Then we're able to do a timeline based on the records in WorldCat, where the length of the bars indicates the number of different records. And there are two sections to that. One is to the records that this person is a creator on or an author on, and then if he's the subject of it is another part of the bar. So you click on that. If you click on that timeline, it'll do a search in WorldCat for just that time period. We're able to bring in the variant forms of the name from the authority files, languages. The predominant language here is English, but a fair number of German, Dutch, and so on down the road. Then works about Thomas Keneally. And usually you'll get things here. Probably some of these had some biographical information in them, so they got Schindler's List got pulled in, but some other things that more obviously about him. Then works by him. And here we have a summary. So this is what we're trying to do, is take the information from WorldCat and produce a work level description of Schindler's List. The first one would be the book. The second is a visual of the movie. So we've got 122 editions between 82 and 2007, 25 languages, and the number of different libraries that hold it as far as WorldCat knows. And a summary. So we'll pull the summary from the highest held record that has a summary. That's what we'll do. Or if sometimes these summaries occur in multiple records, so that if the summary is the same, the holdings from multiple records would contribute to that. More cover art, if we can find it. More things by him. With in this case, we're getting quite a few nice summaries, but that's not always the case. Then we get audience level. This is based on who holds the material. Again, ranked by holding, weighted by holdings, and he comes in right about in the middle, not surprisingly. If it was more specialized material, it'd be up here. If it was more juvenile, it would be down to the zero. And then you see related identities. In this case, because of the popularity of the movies, you get a lot of actors and such. Then links into the different authority files, a link to Wikipedia for him, which is popular. And then at the bottom of the page, we have subject headings. We've made a cloud out of subject headings, subject and cloud. And these are actually out of FAST headings, which is the Library of Congress headings that have been split up into different facets. So there. And I think it's not a bad description of what